The gin, it stays dry. Wine keeps on flowing.
Hey everyone, Nicole Moss here, co-founder of Moss Consulting HR Services and your host of Easton Park TV. I'm here today with Sean and Tracer, who are the co-owners of Orchid Bar Co.
Yeah.
We are about to talk about why they started their business. We're going to get into how they're getting things going. We'll talk about making drinks, cocktails, mocktails, hear about you guys. So let's jump right in.
Awesome.
Let's talk about the hat. Where's the hat come from?
I actually bought it off of some random site. It was just the hat, just this part. And it came from China. It took like 3 weeks to get here.
Okay.
And it was all like misformed and everything. So I steamed it, I shaped it and everything. I bought this twine and this feather I actually got at a wedding that I was bartending.
Okay.
I was on this ranch out in like middle of nowhere towards like North DFW.
Cool.
And a bunch of cowboys out there had like cows and chickens and all this stuff.
Okay.
And there's peacock feathers just lying around everywhere. So I was like, can I take one of these home with me? He's like, yeah, man. So that was like, it was one of my tips for the night. So I just put it on my hat.
I love it.
Yeah.
The whole like hat steaming thing is like on TikTok, they have all like, you can make a hat look however I never like, cause that could look like a cowboy hat if you wanted it to.
You can shape it however you want.
It's
cool.
It's very cool. So you just steamed it.
Just steamed it. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
So you're bartending up in Dallas, Fort Worth.
I was, yeah.
Is that where you're from?
I am from Dallas.
Okay.
By way of Fairfield, Texas. It's in between Dallas and Houston. It's a tiny town.
Okay.
And it's like my home base.
What I've learned about Dallas, we have our largest clients in Dallas. So I spend some time up in Dallas. I just got back actually this last week. But when you say like, oh, I'll be in Dallas, like, do you want to get together? Like if you know if someone's in and around, it's not like just because you're in Dallas doesn't mean that you're like going to get together. It's so big.
It's
like
massive.
Yeah, and traffic's wild and all that. So did you let's talk about bartending. We'll start with you just because you're on the side. Like what got you into bartending?
Funny enough, I think I just wanted some extra money at some point in my life. I was working for this logistics company and it just wasn't enough money. And I was like, I'm bored. I think I was going through a breakup and I was like, I need to socialize with people. So that was one of my coping mechanisms. I was like, I'm going to go out. I'm going to force myself to be uncomfortable. So it's something I'd never done before.
Okay.
So I actually started as like a host, like greeting, seating people, stuff like that. Worked my way up to be a bar back and was doing dishes for everybody and just, learning the ropes. It's funny because I remember working at this Mexican sugar restaurant in Dallas.
What's a Mexican sugar restaurant?
It's called Mexican Sugar, but it's like this Tex-Mex, high-end Tex-Mex place. It was amazing. Really good food. But I was working as a bar back, and this guy, I guess he thought I was the bartender, and he asked me for like a shot of something, and I'm like, cool, man, like let me go. I'm gonna act like I know what I'm doing real quick. So I go grab the bottle and I go to the bartender. I'm like, how many ounces is the shot? Like, how much do I pour in here? And he's like, bro, it's just 2 ounces. And I'm like, just those little things. I was like, I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
So, but that got me interested. So I was
cool.
I worked my way up from a bar back, started learning from everybody there.
Cool.
And then they opened up a new location in Uptown Dallas.
Okay.
And they promoted me to a bartender, and that's where I kind of kicked everything off.
Okay. That's awesome. And I know, Sean, the first time we met was at a restaurant in Buda. Mm-hmm. And I think you were one of the first bartenders that like I've ever seen really care about every single drink. And you probably don't remember this because I'm sure you have served so many people, but like I remember I was like, I really like gin. And you were like, okay, and you made something fancy and it had like flowers in it and it was purple and it seemed like so custom. And so like, and I felt like you were doing that for everyone at the bar. So is that like, are you making custom drinks for people or are you like making people feel like you're making custom drinks for everyone? Which are both very cool things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And as a bartender, depending on how busy you are or what setting you're in, you might employ either one of those. But I like to be in a situation where I have the time and space to actually do that.
Yeah.
I think the real the real thing that people come to a bar for is the experience, the way that we make them feel as guests while they're there, acknowledging their entrance, actively trying to learn their name, telling them ours, but then too trying to figure out what they really like, because a lot of times people don't even really realize what they want when they come to a bar. They know like flavor ideas, or they've had a drink before that they like, and so I like to kind of get people into that like let's create something mode, right? Yeah. And so I actually do remember that experience with you.
Okay. Yeah, very cool.
And I like gin a lot too.
Okay.
And I want to say there was a floral component with that, if I can remember correctly.
I don't remember what it was. It was purple though, and you put a bunch of flowers in it. And I ate them, and it was great.
Yep.
Sounds like Sean.
Very good.
Yep.
Yeah,
I love it.
Cool.
And so yeah, it's even if it's a drink that you've made 100 times before, or a variation or something, you throw an extra ingredient in it, because we have these toolboxes of drinks in our heads that we can make, but even just customizing it a little bit for a person can really go a long way and make them feel good about that experience, or better about that experience, and then you get to learn what they really want, rather than just what's on special and things like that. I find it to be a lot more fulfilling workspace for me when I can do that.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because, and I've learned this from you and then from Ryan, is that y'all have worked at a couple of different bars, and Ryan's mom and I like to go hang out with Ryan. He's the best, and
I do too.
By proxy, you. And at both places, people would come not for the food, not for really the drinks, but for you guys. And so it's like you build up a clientele. Yeah. And they followed you guys like where you were going. Does that happen often?
It does, and it for people that really care, for bartenders that really care and really want to know their people and really enjoy that personal interaction. And I'm sure Tracer can agree that once you got into it and fell in love with the service and the service flow, that it became something you look forward to, getting to see those people again, and you start to, they become a part of your family, really your work family, your extended deal. You want to know what's going on in their life, not just what they're having to drink that day.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember like being a guest at my favorite bar in Dallas. Yeah. It's called Parliament. If you have not been there, it is the coolest place in the world. Okay. You walk in and it's like this sophisticated cocktail lounge. And it's like it's dim lights and no food. It's just cocktails. Okay. But the first time I went there, I think I was actually taken there on a date. She planned it for me and everything. Okay. So she took me there, and the bartender, had like this really cool hat on, and they're all dressed super nice. Yeah, instant connection. So I'm like, this place is amazing. Yeah. But just coming from a customer's perspective, walking in like to a place I'd never been before, and then building a connection with a bartender and them crafting a cocktail based on they're like, what do you want today? And I'm like, oh, well, I like the gin too. It's my favorite. So they're like, okay, try this. And they don't just hand you a drink, they hand you a drink and a really unique and cool presentation style. Yeah. It's like there's flowers and there's smoke and there's like all this really cool stuff. Cool. But in that comes the connection with the bartender, and like I still talk to this guy to this day, and like awesome. I'm telling him all about what we're doing. He's like, dude, that's so cool. That
is so cool. So what y'all are doing is hard. Like let's just for a second, starting a business it's very exciting. Like I know like how Steve and I started our business together. And I'm so glad that you guys are doing this together, because there's so many like solopreneurs in the beginning that it's scary. Like it's hard. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of risk. You're really like putting yourself out there with this idea that you're just like, I hope it works. It's money. You got to eat food and live indoors every day. So you need to make money. Right. Like it's important. But the beginning is always so exciting. You're like, we've got this great idea and it's going to be different this way. And then slowly creeps in the work, and then the hours, the reality, and then the terror, and then walk me through kind of like your process. And you guys are working together as partners, but like, how did it evolve? Who started it? Who brought who in? And like, where are we now?
So
that's a good question.
It's a really good question. This is something. So what we're doing, what we're starting, an elite private bartending service called Black Orchid Bar Co. Okay. And it's something that when we met, right? We met each other. I was directing the bar at a place called Busy Signal, and was going through a hiring spree during the summer. And as soon as I met Tracer, I was like, I like this kid. He's got a lot of character.
Okay. Was he wearing a cool hat?
Come in with the rings on and the cool shirts and everything. And I was like, all right, I can resonate with him for sure.
Cool.
Because I wanted to surround myself with people that were like me and that I knew the type of service that we wanted to give. And so as we got to talking and learning more about each other, we made several connections through different music things and also through our entrepreneurial spirit that we both share. And so we kind of talk about different company ideas that we've had, and then the one that we both connected on was marketing ourselves as private bartenders because of our skill levels. Working at higher end places, we learn these techniques and skills that are really marketable. And then we're like, well, we want to go show people, we want to go show, and create these experiences in different ways and in different settings and in different formats. And we wanted the freedom to be able to do that. And he had been planning and talking about doing a service for a while. I had been talking about doing it as well. So we were like, we have the same dream, the same vision. Let's link up and do it together. And we could do maybe do something bigger.
Yeah. There's something very empowering about starting your own thing. And we were talking before this about like working for people that may not be your favorite, or the way that they do business may not be your favorite, but there's like a level of and I think that most entrepreneurs, there's a level of responsibility and integrity to all of us that like you're there to do a job, you have to do the job right. You were talking about, even despite like wanting to grow it into other things, you're like, no, we got to get the basics first. And that's how every business should in theory start. Now, if you're looking at our business at this point, we really need to get back to basics too, because things just move so fast, right? Then you get clients, and then you're like, oh, now we have to service the clients, and your business is usually the last thing to get any attention or love, which is, you guys will get there. It keeps you up at night and it gets you up in the morning. But when you start your own thing, it's so empowering because it's really on you, and then you're creating the culture, and you're creating like, what is that baseline, and how comfortable are we okay with getting away from that baseline? Because you're going to get away from the base. Like, you're going to. That's just how that works. Unless you're a superhuman, and maybe you are. I don't know. But like, what is, so far, you guys have done a lot in a month. What's been like the biggest accomplishment?
I'm going to kick that one over to Trace. Let's see. Trace is very, very motivated to do something amazing, and I am too. And I think the cool part about the way we work together is that we are good. Was certain things that he lacks technically, I pick up. Certain things that I lack technically on the other side, on the bar side, and things like that, he has. And so it really is really cool to work together. And something that you were saying earlier, being a solopreneur and kind of going at it on your own, a thing that we've been able to benefit off of is bouncing ideas off of one another. When one of us has a doubt about something, we can kind of step in and go, hey, maybe look at it in a different light. And so you get a different perspective, which is cool. It's benefited me a lot. Yeah. That alone's a big win for us. But anyway, I kick it back over to you.
Yeah. I think our biggest accomplishment so far is just meeting up for the first time. Like, once we've been talking about this since August. Since I moved here, I'm going to use like August 15th. Okay. I met Sean August 16th and started working with him on August 17th.
Oh, so y'all are new friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
newish friends.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Cool. You guys do have a vibe together though. I would have thought years and years and years of knowing each other. So that's cool. Yeah.
It feels like years and years with all the hours that we spent.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah.
But we've been talking about it, ever since probably a week into us working together at Busy Signal.
Cool.
So us just getting together and being like, hey, we're going to do this. Let's meet up Tuesday. Let's talk about it. Let's get it done. You know, because it was like back and forth, like, oh man, this is cool. Like, this would be a good idea,
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny because we were talking about it for so long. And then one day out of the blue, I just get this text message from a number that I don't even have saved. Like, don't even have this number saved. And it's like, hey man, are you free to meet up on Tuesday? And I'm like, who is this guy? Like, who is it? I had to like try to Google it and everything.
Okay.
And it turns out Sean got a new phone number, didn't tell me about it. And he's like, hey, are you ready to get this started? And I'm like, oh man, if you would have told me it was you, like, we could have met up
Like,
last
let's
week and
go.
get this going.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's really fun to talk about until you start. I mean, it is fun when you start working too, but it's when it starts to get real, like it's a different level of excitement. And I think like when we think excitement, we think like jumping up and down and like rah rah hooray, which is sometimes excitement, but there's like there's something called eustress. It's spelled EUSTRESS, which is like positive stress. Like so you think negative stress is like that, like negative, like, oh, I can't, like your chest gets tight, you feel funny, but that like eustress is very positive, like motivating, like I want to do this, I want, and sometimes it's not rah rah, this is so exciting, but it's like that motivating, want to get something done, and y'all both like just like it's like oozing from you right now, which is cool. It's fun.
Yeah. We're having to we have a lot of zeal for what we want to do is a way to put it, and we're having to look at the steps and make sure that, like you were saying, that the steps are in the correct place to be able to grow into what we want to grow into. And I think it's what we both decided is that we care so much about this and want it to be awesome for the people that get to use it, that we want to make sure that it's done right and with care, and that it's something that we can be proud of and that people will be proud to use. In the future, when we get to our evolution of where we want to take the platform.
So let's talk about that for a second, because I feel like we all have an understanding of what you're doing, but our listeners may not. So like, y'all are bartenders and you're starting a bartending company, but talk to me about like phase 1, which is where you're at now. And what it looks like when that phase is accomplished, and then what's phase 2. Absolutely.
I'm going to kick phase 1 over to Tracer, and then I'll come in with phase 2 whenever you're done. Cool.
Phase 1, are we talking like
current
where we're at right now?
Yeah, where we're at, what we're capable of, and what we want to do for people.
Yeah. So our whole vision, I think why we're so excited about this is because based on what we've researched and what I've seen, is we're bringing something to people that's not out there already.
Okay.
So our whole vision is that we want to bring the vibe and the feel of a sophisticated speakeasy lounge to your event.
Okay.
And
that event could be your home, your wedding, your grandma's funeral, anywhere that you want.
Yep, your poker events, wherever you want to set, we gotcha. But we are also fully chameleons when it comes to this. Like we'll have that tier, we can bring that level to you, but we also have the understanding that some people don't want that, So if you have a traditional wedding,
slinging beers and wine,
easy.
You're good to do that too.
We can do that as well.
Okay.
I've done it many years, and so was Sean. So, that's our vision. That's where we're at right now. We're just trying to boots on the ground, get that active and going.
Yep.
So.
Cool. And then that leads to phase 2.
Yep. And then phase 2, once we get our feet wet in the Austin market, and we both love doing weddings and stuff, so we're going to focus on weddings and corporate events and things like that at the beginning.
Smart.
And then we want to grow to be more of a platform that people can use, so that other bartenders can market themselves. And so we'll have a place that they can have a profile in and log into and build their personal brand. So we'll provide branding tools for them, and pretty much like a bartending school where they'll be able to learn new techniques and then get checked off on those techniques, and then show on our platform that they're certified to do that.
Love that.
So you can build this reputation for yourself and everything. So the whole goal with it really, and at the end of the day, is to help empower bartenders that want to take their career into their own hands, and really show the rest of the world, the rest of the market, what they're specifically capable of.
Yeah. So let's like lean into that for a second, because I think it's so cool, because I haven't seen you make a drink, but I would imagine probably the same tier.
He's amazing.
I can't even imagine. I mean, I can. I look forward to a mocktail soon, and we'll get into that too, because I think there's so many things to talk about. But like, you're an artist. Like I remember, we were at a I wouldn't call it a quick serve restaurant because it wasn't, but like you're at a bar where you're like, it's a large bar, like a lot of people, not a lot of time to make a very customized drink. And we were sitting in front of you, and you were like cutting these little houses out of banana leaves, like these like very specific. They were all the same size. You were very, very like focused on making the experience. It was really cool, and I think it was like the special of the day or whatever you were doing. But like it just, I remember thinking, I was like, he doesn't belong at this bar. Like he's an artist. You were making like such beautiful cocktails, and I'm not saying that like you can't like at a like a chain restaurant you can't get a nice drink.
Sure.
It depends on the bartender, of course, but like you were doing some art. Like it's almost like chemistry, sort of.
Thank you.
Is that right? Like
it can be in many ways. The gastronomical side of it can be a lot of chemistry thing, balancing acids and sweeteners and spicy to sweet or bitter to sweet or salty even. It can be a bit of chemistry, but I love the artistry side of it, and I try to pass that along to any younger bartenders that I train, is taking care in the little things. If it's cutting your garnish, take the care in cutting that garnish like you would take the care in garnishing the drink at the end for the guest. The guest might not even see you cut that garnish, but it's going to come out so much better. And it's all the little details like that I think in any experience that we do, and you do a very good job at it here as well too, it's the little details that make the overall experience really shine. And you might not notice specific ones missing, but you'd notice the air different about the thing.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like the air. I like that vibe, because it is like, you can tell, you might not be able to put your finger on it, but you're like, I had a drink one time and it felt like this,
sure.
and this feel like something's missing or something's off or what have you. What got you into bartending?
I think similarly to Tracer, and I feel like this is a way that a lot of us get into it. You either, in our industry, they say you either come in through the side door or you come in through the dish pit. So you can kind of start at the bottom level and in any department within the restaurant and be like a host or a dishwasher or something like that, and kind of work your way up to being able to be at the next rung and the next rung. And it's typically like in the front of house, the host or busser to a server, then to a bar back, similar path that Tracer went, and then to a bartender. And so I came in that way as well too. I started as a server when I was 19-ish, and then realized through that I liked the sales aspect of it, the trying to figure out how to make something sound good to people, knowing that it was the best way to experience our restaurant, and they might not know that yet. And so you kind of have to play this dance with them to entice them to a better experience, and when you build a relationship with a guest, you can just directly talk to them about that, and it becomes easier. But I think it's a lot of fun when you can do it through presentation and through the way that you pitch things. And so I quickly was like, okay, I want to wait tables for a while and then get into bartending too, because you see it, you make more money that way, and it's kind of the cool thing too. It's, you see the guys and gals that are doing it, flipping shakers around, cool. and you get the pictures and stuff, and so it's kind of, as a younger person, it's enticing too. And then when I found myself behind a bar, I realized that, oh, this is a whole different thing, because it's not just waiting tables now. Now you're a prep station and a cook and a chef and everything along with it. And to be able to infuse creativity into that too made for a much more enriched workplace for me.
Cool.
So I fell in love with that and just started learning techniques and getting books and watching videos, and thank God we were in the era of YouTube and could learn all kinds of new techniques off of YouTube and just go, and I'd bring them to the bar. But hey guys, check this out, and let's see if we can make this work. And luckily I had some really good bar owners early on that trusted me, that were willing to try some things, and
cool.
and it paid off, and we were able to build some confidence and some menu design stuff from that, and just kind of evolved on from there. And I think that's my favorite part now, is the actual cocktail design, and then the menu design part.
Very cool. There's like it seems like it's so important that everyone gets lucky at a certain point in their career to have like someone who trusted them to do something, and you're like, I wouldn't have never taken that leap or like had the confidence to do that without someone. I think that most people that like have started a business are like, there's that one person or two people that like mentored me or allowed me, took a risk or whatever, and that's like always so refreshing to hear. Let's talk about the psychological part of being a bartender, because you guys are getting people, feeling a little saucy, and inhibitions come down and people start chatting. And I feel like, at least some of the bartenders on the other side of the bar from me at a certain point in my life have heard all kinds of stories. Like, how do you manage the people part of it?
Trace, you wanna start with that one? I think you have a different perspective on it a little bit than I do. Maybe.
Yeah. I don't know. I try to keep it simple and just early on I would probably involve myself in a lot of the conversations and so on. But as I've done this throughout the years, I learned the easiest way is just stay out of it. I'm always listening to everybody.
I bet.
I can hear many conversations at once. But unless it's something like, you got to step up and say something or anything crazy, I'm just going to stay out of it.
Okay.
That's my route.
Fair enough. Do people that go to a bar alone, which is very empowering. Like, as I've gotten older, even going to eat alone, I was like, when I was younger, I'd be like, I would never go out to eat by myself or never go sit at a bar by myself unless I was like in an airport and it was like socially okay in my mind. That was the thing. But it's fun. Like, I enjoy going to eat by myself or going to like go sit at a bar by myself. But sometimes those, like, you always see someone sitting at a bar alone and they're just like hanging on the bartender, and the bartender's like, very interested. I got 30 other people or even one other person that I'm waiting. Like, how do you manage that?
That one's a fun one. Typically it's your regular. Sometimes it's a rando one-off that's maybe had a little too much, or maybe they're riding that tipsy line. They're feeling really good and want to chat with you.
Yeah.
And it's typically when you're a little, a couple in that you don't have the awareness to know that the bartender needs to go off. You kind of start to, once you've seen it enough, start to understand the psychological aspect behind it, and the booze part of it and everything too. Yeah. I've had several regulars that did that, and they didn't realize they were doing it. Sure. And so with those people, you start to develop, and this is the importance of really with your regulars, developing a good relationship with them, because then you can start to develop that vocabulary. Yeah. And with your really good ones too, you can start to develop a head nod or
wink, I'll be right back.
Yeah, something to where they can save face and with their peers, I think is important too.
Right.
And you touched on something as well as a bartender that I hadn't thought of in a long time. We get this knack for listening and overhearing conversations, and not because we want to overhear and like, ooh, what's the tea? What's the tea going on over there?
That's part of it.
Yes, that's, for me that would be part of it.
Sometimes it can be fun, right? It can be fun, and that's that we're there, they're there, and they're sharing and we're sharing, and that's part of it. But I think if you get to a certain level where you want to be good at what you do, and it's not just a job, and you want to be a professional at it, you're listening for little cues as to maybe they're going to wrap up soon, or maybe they're thinking about another drink, or maybe they're going through something in their life, and maybe you can come over and give them a little extra special service and kind of make their day. Sure. It's those little things like that, going out of your way, that's really easy for us. We have all the tools to do it right there. Yeah. It just takes the willingness to do it, and I think that's what kind of separates the good from the great.
Yeah, just being able to anticipate the needs of any guest or... Yeah, right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Steve was a bartender and a server for years and years and years and years. And he's like, I really think that he says this. I think that he says everyone should work in a restaurant or at a bar, at least for, some part of their life. I worked at a Chili's for like 4 days, and I was, as a hostess when I was in high school, I was like, this is horrible. I'm not doing this ever again. And I wish I would have, because it does teach you you're serving people, and people, in our line of business, we deal with people all the time. That is our business, is people, and people are hard. People can be incredibly rude. On the flip side too, people can be incredibly incredible, like awesome, super kind. But I'd say most people, general public, you're dealing with difficult personalities. There's a level of entitlement, I feel like, that some people go into a restaurant with, sitting in a bar, what have you. So like, how do you work through the difficult the challenging people, maybe is a better word.
Challenging people. I've learned over time, and this takes some mental acuity and learning to put your ego aside and realize that you're there to do a job. That you learn to love people even when they're in a bad mood. You don't know what they went through before they walked in that door or what they're going on. And so if you can learn to do this, even when people are upset at you, you can still learn to love on them a little bit. And it helps. And then it helps your mental state too. You got to be there for that, the next 5 hours or however long your shift is. And it's tough. And sometimes you don't get a whole lot of break. And you're on your feet and everything, so it's being able to do that is important with people.
Yeah, the whole rubber and glue situation, I guess. Yeah. It's hard. I mean, I think it's like a steam. It is like, what is the saying? I'm rubber, you're glue. Whatever you say bounces off me and sticks to you. Yeah. That's the thing.
Life lesson.
Yeah, life lessons by Nicole.
And not only that too, but it's like caring about them even when they're mad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they could be rude or whatever, but they're still people. And you know, it's when you can do that, then you can you have a lot better time at work. I find being a bartender itself can be a taxing to your mind, because you're having to remember 2 or 3 drink maybe orders in a row, and then to refill this, and then you have maybe some tickets coming out. So it's
you broke the ice, or you broke the glass in your ice well, and you got to melt it.
All of a sudden, in the middle of all of that, right? And so it can be very, very, very taxing. And so you start to see people like their little anger levels rise and stuff at work sometimes, and I always try to help people when I see them in that regard, like, hey, it's not that good, it's not that big a deal, jump in, I'll help you or whatever. You start to develop that with your fellow bartenders and stuff. But you work long hours and
physically very taxing, I'm assuming.
Very, very. And then by the end of it, you get to the 2:30, 2:45 mark in a bar like that, and then once you've got everybody out, then the real the hard cleaning work starts, and you got to go in and clean the bar and get it ready for the next day and stuff. And so you really got to do this. You really got to love it. And I think we both got to a point where we hit a skill level that we knew we could that we could benefit other experiences and really create something cool that nobody had done yet, with the freedom to do it. Yeah. And that was part of the reason why we wanted to break off and do something for ourselves, and then help show other bartenders that it doesn't have to be in a bar until 2 a.m. Maybe there's other routes to do this, and sometimes it I know for me and him, it was just trying to figure out how to market ourselves in that way. And so we figured it out now through this, and we want to help other people, do the same. I think
that's awesome.
But currently, right now, we're at a phase where we can handle good size events between the two of us. I mean, we could handle 150 plus right now, all the way down to small gatherings. What the backyards and things like that. And I think the hallmark that's going to make us different than your typical is that we, like Tracer was saying, it's a whole environment that we're creating, and not just a bar setup. So it's not just the basics, it's the atmosphere that we create through what we're doing and through the displays and things like that we like to do. I know Tracer touched on it a little bit earlier from Parliament, right? But we have some ideas about creating these things too, kind of one-off things. And so it's little things like for a wedding, for instance, like we want to do stuff like this. This is something that I've done in the past. I'll let you hold on to it. So just to show you kind of the little things that we like to do that are the extra touches, right? That you might not expect, right?
Okay. Oh, this is cool. Oh, this is really cool.
This was for Mother's Day. The thing that we did was a poem that I wrote that went along with
you wrote
the
it.
drinks. Yeah.
Excellent. We'll put it up. Do you want me to read it? It's long.
You don't have to.
Okay.
No, it's just fun, but it's those little things like that. And so it's.
And you put this like on everyone's little, like with every drink?
We put them around the drinks, for all the mothers and Mother's Day and things like that.
So very cool.
So it's things like that we can create that make it more than just the bar, that make them special for weddings and for things like that.
Yeah. Okay, so like on that note, so let's just say, maybe not even for a wedding, but like in Easton Park specifically, there's a lot of little gatherings, a lot of baby showers, a lot of wedding showers, like just little get-togethers at people's houses that, maybe they're like, hey, I want to have a really unique custom event. Can you help me come up with like 2 signature drinks? Like, is that stuff you guys could help with?
Absolutely.
Yeah, like I like gin, I want lavender somehow involved. Like, you guys could be like, great, let's do whatever. You could give, like if someone said I like gin, lavender, and it's going to be a baby shower for a girl, what would you do?
What are you thinking?
Do like gin, lavender, lemon juice, little bit of simple syrup if you need that because the lavender's pretty sweet already. Little pink bow tie around the drink itself.
like it.
Not bow tie. What's it called? Ribbon, maybe.
A little ribbon, yeah.
Something cute.
Okay, and then what about mocktails for mom?
The deal.
Mocktails.
I like the idea of mocktails.
We were talking about that
especially
earlier.
For mom. Yeah. Something that we can create for those specific gatherings too that might not need a full on bartender maybe at them if it's a baby shower or something like that. We provide a bar cart that would be there for them. So we provide the garnishes and maybe custom the way that they build their specific drink, the glassware, things like that. So we'd come in, set that up for them. The guests can use it and get to benefit from the custom cocktails that we create through that for them and everything. And we can do custom garnishes and custom ingredients and things like that as well too. And we cover all that in our discovery calls that we do.
Love that. So what about, I recently got off the sauce, stopped drinking. I know you're sober. I think you're sober. It seems like there's a lot of people go in the sober world these days. So but I was just telling Tracer, I love going to a happy hour and ordering a mocktail. And it's I really, really appreciate when a bar or a restaurant has a mocktail menu that you wouldn't know. Anyone else at the table wouldn't know that you're not drinking, which is always curbs the conversation. Is oh, you're not drinking. Why? Or, that's really weird because I know you like to party, all of those things. So what if someone wanted to have an alcohol-free event? Would you guys go do mocktails at as bartenders?
Yeah, I did when I worked for a company doing weddings, it was a fully mocktail wedding.
Okay.
And they had 2 specialty cocktails, and it was just as fun as any other event that I've ever worked.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
My theory on mocktails is that it's the way when I create them, I like to, rather than mock an existing drink, because we have this beautiful world of all these ingredients and all these culinary ingredients that we can do and make tinctures and things. So you can get really creative with these things, and they can become something of their own that's not just mimicking an alcoholic drink. And I think that's where they start to really shine.
Yeah.
And then the emphasis on the presentation, the garnish being a little more elevated too. The whole goal when you go to any bar, right? And as anybody, if you're ordering alcohol or if you're ordering non-alcohol, because you can get those drinks, you can get a non-alcoholic drink on your way home. You can go to any bar and get an alcoholic drink. It's the way that you feel when you're there.
Yeah.
And so having that cocktail, that non-alcoholic cocktail menu is a great way to signal that we care about that.
Yeah.
We care about our guests that don't want to drink, and then we've also created something really special for you.
Yeah.
That still feels that you still feel like you're drinking something.
Just being involved.
A cocktail.
Yeah.
How you want to feel.
Yeah, being involved and feeling. I mean, look, I love a topo and lime. I had lunch with someone the other day, and he's been sober for 2 years, an older guy, and he was there before me, and I sat down. I got a Topo Chico and lime, and he was like, "Oh, you don't drink," and I was like, "How do you know?" And he's like, "All of us." He's like, "It's that topo," and he's like, "But try topo and an orange," and I was like, "And an orange slice," and I was like, "Okay," and he's like, all these little things, all these little twists that we can do.
Right.
But I do feel I just decided to stop drinking just to make sure I could do it.
Yeah.
It's the thing. But bartenders have been some of the coolest people about it. So a lot of the people that we hang with, and like it's a whole social experiment, really.
Right.
Would think it's very odd that I'm not drinking.
Sure.
They've known me a long time. I've been drinking for a long time. And so usually what I'll do is I'll get to an event early and go to the bartender and be like, hey, because I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to like,
sure.
I don't like bartenders are usually the coolest people about it. And most of them are like, I've been sober 10 years. I've been sober 25 years, whatever. And like, I'll be like, hey, when they order another round, like I'm doing topo and lime, like if you could put it in a glass. And some bars are cool about putting in what kind of glass it goes in. I'm sure there's like regulations maybe of like, it's not drinking. I don't know, whatever.
Sure.
Whatever the rules are. And I totally respect it. But I'm like, as close as we can get is really cool. But one of my favorite stories is I go to Dallas a lot and I take the Vaughn Lane, which is a bus.
I love it. Love Vaughn Lane.
Me too.
Yep.
Okay, I was worried about the Vaughn Lane sober because I was like, oh, maybe it's not going to be as good not drinking a bunch of vodka on it. It was great. I love the Vaughn Lane. Still a bus, but it's a lovely bus. Yeah. Anyway,
right.
If you don't know what the Vaughn Lane is, it's a very nice bus that goes from like Austin, Dallas, Austin, Houston, Dallas, Houston, and then I think to San Antonio. Yeah. Some of them do. Anyway, it's very cool. There's only a few seats on it. They're very, very nice. There's a bar. You get food and drink. It's great.
Wow.
It's very cool.
The whole thing. Cool.
The whole thing.
Cool.
Yeah, it's
beautiful.
It's as expensive, if not a little more than flying, but I think it's totally worth it.
Yeah.
Anyway, it picks you up and it drops you off at hotels. And a lot of the people, especially on like the 3:30 and later buses, people sit at the hotel bar and you have drinks before you get on the bus.
Sure.
And in Dallas, they drop you off at the DoubleTree at Love Field. And the bartenders know me because I would go often. And so I walked up and I had quit drinking. But his name's Felipe. He knows me and he made me gin and tonic, double gin and tonic tall. And I was like, Felipe, thank you so much. He's like, Miss Nicole, here you go. And I was like, oh my God. And I know Felipe. We know each other.
Sure.
And I was like, I quit drinking. And he was like, oh my gosh. He like grabbed it really quickly. He like tossed it. He's like, that one's on me. And he's like, what are you drinking? I was like, Topo. And he's like, I've been sober for 10 years. And he gave me this and we just like are like, I know Felipe. Now I know Felipe more. And it's just, I felt so respected and he made it such a normal thing. And it was just like very cool. And y'all give off those vibes of like, no judgment. You're just, you're whatever. Like, which is cool. I think that's so important of being a good bartender is making people feel welcome and normal and whatever, no matter what that is.
Of course. I like to take those people that might have not found the place that they can get good mocktails.
Yeah.
And then sit them down and be like, what do you like? What's your flavor profile? Let's create something that for when you come here, this could be your mocktail that you like, you know? And that's a good way to approach it as a bartender, I feel like, because you're putting them onto something that they can't get anywhere else.
Yeah.
And they'll come back to you for it, you know, especially if you really care about the fact that they did stop drinking and everything. And I know for myself, and I know for a lot of bartenders too, we're so directly connected to that. And we get to see so many different instances of it, you know, enriching people's lives and then destroying people's lives.
Sure.
And, you know, after a while, I think if you start to see that within yourself or the potentiality of it destroying your life, and it doesn't even have to destroy your life. It could just be that you're not maybe moving forward in a goal that you want or a relationship that you want to get or physically or something like that. And if you're paying attention and you can wake up to it, it's really easy to want to stop drinking because especially when you start to stop drinking, you start to see the big benefits of it.
It's amazing.
Mental clarity and focus and
sleep.
Just life is so much more colorful.
Yeah.
I think it's, you know, and it's so easy to, as a bartender, fall into drinking every shift. I mean, we had conversations about this several nights where it's like, you know, we have to have days. It's like set days. You don't drink that day. And then like, okay, Friday, maybe have like one or two or something if you're in a space where you can. And just so you can because you can not even realize it in our world and go, I just drank every day this past month. You know?
Right.
And that's
time
not
slips
good,
away.
You know? Yeah.
Well, and you're trying your it's like it would be like a chef not trying their own dish.
Right.
Exactly.
Too, which is like tricky. So like even if you're and I don't know if this is out of line to ask, so just tell me to shut up if it is. But do you
ask me anything.
As like a non-drinker, do you taste your drinks like with just the little like whoop?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Still do a straw test. And you don't, if you're super extreme and you don't want to have it in your system and all, you can always spit it back out.
Got you. But you taste it and
taste it.
Yeah, because I would think you would have. I mean, it's creation.
You have to. Anything you're creating new that you're not following a very strictly measured proportions, you're gonna have to. And even some of those, your ingredients might be a little off one way or a little more tart, especially if you're using fresh ingredients.
Yeah.
So you got to try everything, just like a chef. If you care about what you're doing and you want your guests to care about what you're doing, that's one of the basics is really trying your stuff. And then they tell you when you're first learning, especially when you're first learning, to build these profiles, these flavor profiles, so you can start balancing drinks and stuff. They have you taste almost every drink, you know, especially several throughout the night of the same ones, several different bartenders making them, so you can start to get this baseline on what they're supposed to taste like. So you can get thrown into a world where it's like it's part of what you do is drinking, and it can get out of hand very quickly for some people, and some people not. But I found that stopping drinking has enriched my bartending experience because I'm way more focused as a bartender. Yeah. And I find that I get into a flow state way easier, and that feels really good, way better than drinking did. Yeah. That flow state is it's like a high almost that you have to, after your shift, kind of come down from a little bit, and kind of, which is really cool. And when you can lock into that, your work, like, time disappears and your work just becomes what you're doing. It becomes really fulfilling. That's the key, and I think anybody in our industry will agree with that, especially chefs, anybody on the line that's just pumping stuff out.
Well, you guys, it's like after this, I feel like after we do podcasts like this, like, there's like a high to it where you're just like, you're amped, this is so fun. Sure. I love talking to people, and it takes a little while to come down, but that's now in my sober brain, that's like just as good, if not better, than like that goofy feeling of like having some drinks. I was having drinks with someone, and you just reminded me of this. I had drinks with someone who I've gone to, I don't know how familiar you are with bars in Austin, but the Tavern, which is down on, like, it's an old seedy bar down by campus. I've been going every like month or two with the same, he's a mentor of mine, and we've become very good friends. Another fellow entrepreneur, very supportive of our business from the beginning. But he and I, for the last probably 10 or 12 years, have gone to the Tavern, and he's my gin drinking buddy. And nice. Like, we were talking, and he's like, I really need to stop drinking. He's like, you've been such a motivation. Like, I'm nervous about it, blah, blah. And I was like, I get it. Like, it's a scary thing. But what he was like, but my most productive time, he's like, I'll have a drink around like 3:30 or 4 in my office to kind of end the day. And he's like, and then by like 5, like when it hits, like that gin hits me, he's like, I click in and I get the best work done from like 5:30 to like 9. Right. And he's like, how do I recreate that? I was like, this is going to sound crazy, but once you get past like the first like 4 or 5 days of like, get it out of your system, whatever, like that clicked in feeling is all the time. Right. Like, every day,
anything
all
you
day.
Want to focus on.
Yeah, like the second you wake up until you go night. And even your dreams are better. Like, it's so crazy. And it seems so not the norm when you're like in it. Like when you're, when you're drinking, when you're having, that's what you do. But that clicked in feeling is, I mean, all the time. I'm awesome. Super freaking focused. It's amazing. Like the night really and day difference. And people that need like instant gratification, you get past like those first 4 or 5 days and like, get in the mocktails. They're just as good. Yep. Like, I don't know.
They're
like,
fun. Yeah,
they're fun.
They can be a lot of fun, especially during the summer. I find the mocktails really, really start to shine because you get to add the topos and the things to them.
Yeah,
and
really
sparkly. Get creative. Yeah, exactly.
I've been really doing. Cool. There's something about making a drink that I really love. And so I've been making at night, tart cherry juice is like such a fun little mocktail ingredient with a little topo, a little lemon, like, and then it makes you so tired because tart cherries are like, they produce melatonin. And I go to sleep and it's the best. But there's something very cathartic about making a drink.
Absolutely. You want to touch on that? It's a process, man. It's like a meditation sometimes, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's just fun, that's just kind of what it is.
Oh, I had a question to ask you guys. How important is ice? Like the type of ice, and like you see all kinds of like TikToks about like get the thing to make the ice look cool or the long ice. Like tell me about the importance of ice in drinks.
There's different camps when it comes to ice, There's the and I feel like there's different camps as bartender mindsets too, where you're coming from. And there's the camp of doing everything on your own and getting the big Yeti coolers or the big Igloo coolers, and you really just take the top of the cooler off, fill it with water, let it freeze in a deep freezer, and it'll freeze all the way to the bottom, and it pushes all the impurities down to the bottom, so you get this beautiful clear ice at the top that you can then cut off into cubes or whatever. And that's kind of the traditional way to do it and how they've been doing it for a long time. And then these companies start popping up that make it. They have a really cool process too, and they have these big saws that come in and make them perfect. So it makes
like squares.
Perfect squares, perfect cylinders, perfect spheres and stuff. And those are easy way to elevate a drink. But I think any kind of elevated drink that needs ice like that needs that big cube, you got to have the clear ice, at least my camp. And then you have an opportunity to design your ice, there's ice stamps and stuff. I love ice stamps. It's so creative.
I think a lot of people just have expectations, like if I were to walk into a bar and somebody served me an old fashioned on the rocks, I would be like, probably not going to come back,
Right. The best old fashioned in town, in my opinion, is Swift's Attic. Have you ever been there?
No.
It's downtown on Congress. It used to be Annie's downtown. I think it's something else now. But what they would do is they had multiple old fashions that you could get, but they would freeze the stuff in a in a sphere of ice.
Cool.
And then they would pour the bourbon or whiskey or whatever. I don't know. I know there's a difference. I'm sorry, I don't know. But anyway, whatever goes in an old fashioned goes on top of that. And so as you drink it, like the drink changes as the ice melts.
It evolves. That's cool.
It's so very cool. And like down to the center, which whatever is in it, it's like, I think some of them had like an orange in there, and then there's like, anyway, it was so cool. And I just always I remember that being such a cool experience, because you just, the different ice is different. And then I guess whatever, what is it, bourbon or whiskey, or does it matter?
It depends. Bourbon really, and some people like it with rye as well too.
Okay, rye is the other one that's very confusing.
And the bourbon thing to the whiskey thing. So bourbon is a uniquely American invention. It has to be
bourbon.
So it for it to be bourbon, it has to be made in the United States.
Okay.
And there's a misconception that it had to be made in Bourbon County, Kentucky, because where it was named from and things like that. But as long as it's got the correct build, the correct mash build and everything from the beginning, and that it's made here, then it's bourbon. And then so if it's more like wheat than corn or grain than corn or something like that, then it'll be a whiskey. So it has to be, and I don't remember the exacts. Do you remember the exacts on that?
No.
It's okay.
No.
I'm not a whiskey producer by any means that would need to remember this stuff, but there's a ratio to it that makes it whiskey rather than bourbon. So at the end of the day, it's a little bit of a flavor profile difference. Bourbon's going to be a little sweeter because there's a little more corn in it.
Gotcha. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's and I believe I'm remembering now. It's got to be 90% corn and then 10% rye.
Okay.
For it to be the bourbon, and then if it's the other way, then it's whiskey. But
somebody in the comments is going to get after you.
Go for it. Please let me know.
Teach us.
Let me know.
We're
in the
humble
comments.
students.
Yes, I will. I will accept that and take that in. I need to learn that. But there's so much to learn in our industry, and I think we find like specific lanes of alcohol types that we resonate more with. Some people it's rum, some people it's bourbon.
Oh yeah.
And I think sometimes it's what you like, and then sometimes what you like maybe the history of or where it came from is kind of neat too.
Yeah. Like I got into gin just because of simply like how it's produced, where it comes from. Like the juniper situation is so very cool. And then there was like more floral ones and dry gin. And like it just, there was so much to learn about it that I absolutely loved it. It was so cool.
I love it.
And it was delicious.
Gin's amazing. There's a great company in Austin called Still Austin.
Yeah.
Their gin's one of my favorites. It's so
Is it
good.
really?
And because it's got so much complexity to it and so much floral aspects, you get a little bit of rose, you get all kinds of stuff, and so it's that style of artisan gin is really, really cool.
Yeah.
And then there's like the London dries that have their place in more of a martini.
I love a gin martini.
I like some of the new techniques that are coming out that we're seeing with a lot of the like gelatins and gastronomical type mixology stuff. There's something that that we're developing that's like a pod, right? Like a margarita pod. So there's different they're like a gelatin around the outside, kind of like a Jello shot, right?
Okay.
But the booze is inside of it, right? So you can make margarita ones.
Interesting.
So they're great little poppers for parties and stuff. Those will be something that you can get as an add-on for what we do for certain events.
Okay.
They're a lot of fun because you can make you can put little garnish things in them and on top of them. Kind of, it reminded me of the ice you were talking about.
Yeah.
Earlier. Kind of a layered deal. Those are really cool. And so I think the world of what a cocktail is rapidly evolving. And being on the forefront of that, I think is really cool. I know Tracer likes to innovate with display stuff. And we're all learning new techniques and developing new techniques and cross blending new techniques. And I think some of the trends we're going to start seeing in the future are a lot more technologically based cocktail things. So roto-vaps, we see roto-vaps in a lot of places now. And what that is it spins your whatever you have in a liquid, it spins it to where it gets all of the sediment or the solids down to where you get this perfectly clear thing. So you can make this really dark drink, really dark red drink with grenadine or something in it, and then spin it in a rotovap, and it'll be perfectly clear afterwards. And different techniques like that we're going to start. See, I feel like those are going to start to be a little more mainstream as people want.
That's why I chose this guy as my business partner.
Yeah, look at this guy.
Yeah, and I think innovating in that space is going to be a lot of fun.
Cool.
And coupling that with the innovations in AI that we're seeing come out is going to be huge. I really think that our industry is going to have to adopt AI to keep up with certain things, and innovation being one of them. And it's a really cool world to see how people are adopting that in their spaces and how they're using it to benefit not only their workspace and what they're doing as a business, but their guests' experience as well too. It's exciting. So.
AI is, well, y'all are kind of in the same space as we are when it comes to like business and AI. Like AI can't make a artisan cocktail, right? You can't. AI can't manage a sexual harassment claim, right? Like there's going to always, at least in our lifetimes, I believe there's going to always be person-to-person interaction, which is, I think, beautiful. I love interacting with the humans, like most of the time. 9 out of 10 times I do. Sometimes it's a little crazy. Right. Another thing that's been popular that's coming up lately is like THC, CBD, like they're being served in bars now. Like, would you consider that a mocktail?
Well, I think
we call it weed water, which
I love it.
It's fun. Yeah.
I think CBD we can do, but I think Texas.
Here in Texas, you could do THCA.
Oh, is it still?
It's like Delta 9 or Delta whatever it is. But you can order it like my favorite brand it's called Unicorn Tears. It's very good.
Nice.
And it's like, and we just got back from Colorado, and there's like, it's becoming a more popular thing. But even at like, Mean Eyed Cat serves THC drinks. Radio Coffee serves THC drinks.
Yeah, we were just at Fraser's, and they have the high fives in their THC.
Yes.
High fives. So what do you guys think about that? Like, do you think that will become like a mocktail or like I don't know, whatever you think that you could make into a very custom artisan type situation?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a fun avenue as a replacement for the booze aspect, because you still get the little bit of a mind altering thing, and I personally enjoy that a lot more than the booze side anyway. And so it's kind of fun to think about blending that with different flavor profiles, because there's so many different flavor profiles. That's something new that we haven't gotten to experiment with until we've seen these. Is there's so many different terpene flavors with all of that. The grapefruit ones are some of my favorites. And they're so interesting, and it reminds me a lot of gin and some of the more funky rums and things like that. So it's a cool avenue to explore around. I've done one CBD drink before on a menu that I've done, and I think in the town that we were in, it wasn't they weren't ready yet because it's still real early on that. So we have a couple people order them, and then we had a couple people that would want to do like drops in their wine and things like that. That was kind of neat.
Dang. Wine is okay. Let's just talk about wine for a second because women and men who are like, I'm just into wine. I'm like, wine is a hefty drink. Like you drink 4 glasses of wine, you're toast. That's 14%. Like,
oh yeah,
that's a drink. I mean, I love wine. I loved wine. I had to stop drinking rosé after I turned 30. It made me real lippy. I don't know what happened, but
something in rosé, something in white wine, man.
I could not rosé all day after I turned 30 a long time ago. But every time I did, it was lippy Nicole, which is fine. So how do people? Easton Park, I think, is going to be an excellent clientele base for you. I think it's kind of it's the affluent burbs of, Southeast Austin, and they're going to really appreciate like an elevated bartending experience. Yeah. So how do they get in touch with you?
You can go to our website at blackorchidbarco.com.
Okay.
You'll find ways to get a hold of us there. All of our contacts and through social media, the traditional social ways. The best way right now, though, is on our website. We have a form on there that will ask you some questions about your event, the type of event that you want to do, and then that'll allow you to book a call with one of us to discuss the event and figure out the best things that you want to do, size-wise, people-wise, things like that, what you want to have. And really, too, for Easton Park people specifically here, what I could see being kind of fun is one of the things that we do really well, like he was saying earlier, is creating that environment. So we not only can have a bar set up, but we can create an entire cocktail lounge in your backyard if you'd like, with the cocktail tables, and we even have the ones that light up and things like that we have access to, that we can create that whole space that transforms an area into a cocktail lounge for you.
People are gonna love that. A lot of parties in this neighborhood. It's very cool. What do you think, like, client wise? We have like a niche client that we like a perfect client for us is 20 to 80 employees that we can really be very helpful with. What's a perfect client for you guys?
Perfect client for us. There's a different profiles that we could go through.
Yeah.
You were about to say something. Then go.
I'd probably say bread and butter. I mean, we're happy to do anything.
Okay.
We love what we do. But bread and butter for us is going to be weddings.
Okay.
We both love weddings. I love the way it makes me feel when I'm at a wedding.
Okay.
So.
Well, is it because of the romance, or is it because of the what about a wedding is so special to you?
I mean, yeah, it probably is the romance.
I love it.
It's real sweet. You get to be a part of someone's life story and their journey.
Yeah.
And a lot of the weddings that I worked, I ended up being like not really close, but for the night, I get to be really cool with the bride and groom.
Yeah.
And they're super happy, and it's just one less thing that they have to worry about.
Love that.
So
if you're doing your job right as a wedding bartender, you become part of their family.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You become part of it, and I think that's when the first wedding I did, it was like open up a whole new world of service that I didn't even realize it was possible, because in a restaurant or a traditional bartending setting, you don't get to really impact somebody's like big day moment like that.
Yeah.
And you can really, by the little extras that you do, are really caring or being willing to help them set something up that's outside of your wheelhouse, but you're going to grab the chairs and help them anyway because it's raining or whatever it is. Those things are a lot of fun and fulfilling for us too. And I think that was part of why we wanted to do this, is be able to help create special moments for people that wouldn't have otherwise. We have a lot of great ideas for that kind of stuff, and love sharing them.
Love that.
Yep.
What does the next 90 days look like for you guys?
Next 90 days looks like
a lot of work.
Looks like a lot of course.
Okay.
Anything, any new business is going to be a lot. Anything worth doing,
We gotta wrap up website. We'll get that published.
Soonish.
By EOD, hopefully.
Today?
I think we're ready
Dang.
to go today.
We're launching. This is it. So go check us out, and we're on socials, and we're going to develop a YouTube channel once we start doing events and things like that.
Very cool.
To highlight those and everything, and we're going to offer a promo as well with for all Easton Park anybody in the neighborhood or anybody that runs a business within Easton Park, we're going to offer for the first 3 bookings that come through from that 50% off.
50%.
50% off.
Love that.
Yep.
So, I can't wait to see you guys around the neighborhood. It's going to be awesome. I think people will book you. We'll definitely book you for our next event.
Beautiful.
So I'm very excited about that.
Excited,
No discount for us though. We want to fully support the business. Love that. And thank you guys so much. Is this your first podcast as the business?
This is
This is
Oh my
This is my
gosh.
first podcast of life. I've never done a podcast.
How do you feel?
It feels good.
This is fun, right?
Yeah, I like it.
Natural.
Chat, shoot the shit, have a good time. Well, thank you guys so much. And
Absolutely.
our
Thank
listeners,
you.
we will see you next time.
The gin stays dry, the wine keeps on flowing, hates his own life, finds it so boring. So many things he's gonna wish he'd seen through. He'll never change, no.